What's going on, everybody? Radio here, and we are back with another video. Gemini, Google, Alphabet, what's going on with them, man? What has been happening? We've been talking about new Grok update. We've been talking about new ChatGPT update, new Claude update, new models from China coming in and out. What has been happening with Gemini? We're here to answer that. Inside Google's Gemini delay, coding stumbles, clashing teams, and frustrated engineers. This is from Los Angeles Times. Alphabet Inc.'s Google is months behind schedule on delivering Gemini 3.5 Pro, its most powerful flagship AI model, because the company has been taking time to try to improve its capabilities, particularly in coding, according to people familiar with the matter. That's been right now, as of right now. Coding is the battleground for all these AI models. If you can write the best code with the cheapest amount of money spent, you're in the clear, you're winning. And Google definitely would love to have a slice of that pie. For a short little while, Gemini 3.1 was doing really well, but with frequent updates to ChatGPT and Claude, Gemini fell behind. It's right now, currently, it's pretty behind. Even if you use Flash 3.5, it's just not as good as the flagship models that you can get from OpenAI and Anthropic. The delay has been a source of frustration for Google engineers, AI researchers, and managers, many of whom are concerned the company risks losing an edge in the market as rivals Anthropic and OpenAI produce models that exceed Gemini's capabilities, according to 10 current and former employees. Google has multiple layers of stakeholders involved in preparing models for release, working to weave AI across a vast product portfolio, including search, maps, and YouTube, which can cause delays, said the people who declined to be named, discussing internal concerns. And that's one of the key differences between OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, where Google, ever since their showcase, they were adamant about one thing: we want to inject Gemini into as many of our products as possible, make it a cohesive umbrella where Gemini intelligence just remembers everything about you, and you can carry on your tasks from one thing to another, and it's pretty much going to be seamless. However, the implementation of that has not been that great as of yet. I will give them one thing: despite all the hate Google's AI mode gets, I do sometimes use it when I'm not certain there's going to be a specific link, or I don't want to do a specific amount of research and I just want to get the information right then and there. I ask the question from Google, put it in AI mode, and it works. It gives me the answers. However, AI mode has not been that popular with the general public and non-AI enthusiasts, so to say. On top of that, they've been pretty slow with implementing Gemini into other things, and their offerings that they were talking about in their keynote, they are coming out, but they're trickling out very, very slowly, and it's not the fast pace that other frontier labs are establishing. And I think this part right here, there's multiple layers of stakeholders, is a major part of Gemini stumbling on release, because you do want to get out the model super fast and have little friction as possible when it comes to releasing it. However, when it comes to a big company like Google, it's not as simple. There's multiple layers of management that you got to go through to get something like a Gemini 3.5 model ready for release, versus an Anthropic where there will be less layers, versus an OpenAI where there will be less layers of people. And this is something Google needs to figure out, as in maybe they need to reduce the amount of stakeholders and kind of let their AI labs run free, or they might have to change the way they develop things so that they are developing multiple things at the same time and they can stagger the releases in that way. OpenAI and Meta Platforms Inc. recently released new models that further outpace Google's current offerings in AI for writing code, and that's Meta Muse Spark 1.1. I don't know if anybody's using it. If you're using it, please let me know. I'm very interested to see how is MuseSpark comparing against other models. Late last month, Google updated the data being used to train Gemini in an attempt to improve these skills, but the results were disappointing. One of the people said shares slipped as much as 3.2% on Thursday. We're shipping quickly across a wide range of models while keeping them highly cost-effective for customers, a Google spokesperson said in a statement. Google was widely expected to release 3.5 Pro at its May developer conference. Google has also been in talks with the US government, which has been increasingly monitoring AI companies' most advanced models about its capabilities, as well as the standards that should be applied to the industry for safety. We're currently testing 3.5 Pro, an upgraded Flash model, and other models with partners. And we're productively engaged with the US government on model testing and broader framework. And that's kind of what we just talked about a little bit, where they have to work on multiple models at the same time, just so they can, as soon as you drop like one model, a little bit later, you can drop another model from another team. Early this year, Anthropic faced whiplash from the US after internal testing flagged dangerous cybersecurity capabilities in its latest model. Maybe Los Angeles Times is a little bit exaggerating the issue. We actually researched and we looked at both sides of the argument, and the dangerous cybersecurity capabilities that Anthropic model had also existed in other models offered by different companies. So it wasn't as if Anthropic was in the wrong. It was just that it was just a flaw in the model and flaw in the logic of the whole thing. But because Anthropic is a little bit of antagonistic with the US government, or was antagonistic a little bit, they were butting heads a little bit, they got caught up, and the US government put an export control on them. But now that is all good. OpenAI has voluntarily limited and staggered the release of its newest AI model after facing national security concerns and significant pressure from the Trump administration. Basically, OpenAI said, hell no, that's not going to happen to me. And they just surrendered their model willingly. Google's popular products are a gateway to generative AI for everyday people and can yield data that make their answers smarter. But encouraging leadership of every department to move in the same direction is like trying to boil an ocean. One ex-employee said, when mandates shift or efforts end up duplicated in multiple departments, it gets even more difficult to maintain cohesive strategy. Current and former employees said. It's also a challenge for anyone offering to get the resources it would need to succeed and to gain traction in the market. After the launch of ChatGPT in late 2022 sparked concerns that Google's search engine would become obsolete, the company declared a code red, a useful tactic for cutting through the layers of bureaucracy and internal competition that often slow Google's product efforts. But now, racing in AI is the normal state of the company, one employee said. Google co-founder Sergey Brin and others were advocating for Google to move faster to seize opportunities in AI coding, but their efforts were slowed by competing factions within the company, two former employees said. Cloud Computing Unit, Google Cloud, Research Lab, Google DeepMind, and the team behind Android operating systems are all building AI coding tools for developers, with involvement from some consumer product teams, too. People familiar with the work said. So that's 4 teams, at least 4 or 5 different teams. And when we're talking about teams, these are not small teams at all. It's a unit, Google Computing Unit. It's a whole research lab that these things are happening with. So it's no wonder why the releases are the way they are at the moment. Efforts to win at coding have also been up against some engineers at Google with a more purist stance, who believe that all important code should be human written to adhere to Google standards, ex-employees said. Early in the rollout of the technology, employees also faced restrictions on using Gemini to write or analyze software over concerns that proprietary code could leak into the AI model's training data, they said. Those policies, which have since been relaxed, limited opportunities for engineers to experiment with AI development. Google said it announced at its most recent cloud conference that 75% of the code at the company is now generated by AI, meaning it's being reviewed and surviving to production and meeting Google's standards. The company also said it streamlined some of its coding tools across products, mostly consolidating them under Google Anti-Gravity, which provides the scaffolding for data memory safety protocols that the AI needs to interact with operating systems and applications. Google is taking steps to reduce internal confusion. Chief AI architect Corey Kavukuglu is we just call him Corey, man. Our main man Corey is working with Google's main engineering team to unite the company's internal artificial intelligence coding tools. And earlier this year, the company formed a team within DeepMind to tackle AI coding, led by engineer Sebastian Bourgeau. Bloomberg has reported. These names, man. Shout out these smart people with the most difficult names of all time. Engineers within Google are now expected to use AI to generate code, but when they try to use AI, they often hit capacity strains due to competition for computing power within Google. Oh my God, man. What a disaster. What a disaster for Google, man. They really need to figure out their internal stuff, their internal communications, their internal protocols, because this is just not the way you want to be operating while Chinese labs and your competing labs in America are just eating your lunch right now. AI researchers say that Gemini's strongest selling point is coring Google search data, while Anthropic and OpenAI have taken the lead on building the most powerful models. Google says it has other strengths in AI, like the capability to work with various types of input, like images and videos, and progress in AI world models, which can mimic physical environments. And that was one of the interesting parts of the keynote presentation they had a couple months ago, where Google was really focused on showing that their AI not only can generate text and image, but also the video capabilities, the simulation capabilities, and just make it a sandbox so that whatever you can imagine, you can generate. And that's what I think Google can win at, is instead of instead of trying to go deep sea fishing, they can cast a wider net and try to grab as many use cases as possible and kind of bring them all in under the umbrella of Gemini. And with the reach that they have, with the user base that they have, it's entirely possible. They just need to do it in a way where Gemini is there when you need it, but it's not intrusive. I gotta be honest. I gotta be very honest. I was using Google Sheets last night and I had a question. And that was the first time I wished Gemini was implemented in Google Sheets. Now, maybe it is, but I didn't have access to it at that point. It was kind of a bummer because I had a question and I wanted to just ask Gemini within Google Sheets, but I couldn't. So I had to open a new tab, go to Google, ask my question there, then come back to the sheet and make the changes that I wanted to. So there is something to be said about Gemini just being there ready to go. And imagine if Gemini's intelligence and memory of you carried over. That one account that you have that everything is under, that memory carried over everywhere. And it started building a personality profile for you so that whatever you needed, it could go fetch for you and it would understand your exact use case and needs. Some researchers' frustration with Google's position in the AI race has contributed to a wave of departures to Anthropic and other top labs, according to former employees. And that was the first sign of distress for Google when there was a bunch of high-profile team members of Google that left for Anthropic. Only some teams are allowed to use Anthropic's Claude. Access has become restricted to teams doing cutting-edge research and other high-priority projects. While they wait for the 3.5 version of Gemini Pro, Google customers have had a mixed experience with Gemini 3.5 Flash. Rodrigo Davis, a product manager at design firm Figma, said the company recently added 3.5 Flash to its newly launched Figma agent, an AI assistant that helps designers generate and iterate on ideas. For Figma, the model hit a sweet spot of speed and quality. But Freddy Vega, chief executive officer and founder of Platzi, a Latin American education technology platform, said 3.5 Flash occupies an awkward middle ground. It's more expensive than Google's 3.1 Flash, yet slower, and it remains far less capable than premium offerings from competitors. If you're paying more for 3.5 Flash, how much more is 5.6 Luna? Because they both are the same model, fast, efficient. And if you're paying the same amount for 5.6 Luna as you are Flash, why not just pay slightly more and just use Terra, which is the better model than all of those? So there is something to be said about the offering. The Google offerings right now are not matching the demands of the customers that they have. He said the model often struggles with structured data, and for tasks requiring a balance in speed of reasoning, his team has shifted away from Google to one of Anthropic's mid-tier models, which is Sonnet 5. However, it's not all bad news for Google. There is some hope. This article came out July 17th. That was last Friday. This article came out today. Alphabet stock pops on report it's developing a more efficient AI chip. Shout out Google. Alphabet shares climbed following a report by the information that the company is developing a new server chip designed to run Gemini models more efficiently. We've had OpenAI develop Jalapeno with Broadcom. We've had Google has their own TPUs that they've been working with and running Gemini on, but now they've got a new chip, Frozen V2, permanently embed parts of Gemini's architecture directly into silicon. Google's engineers project it could serve between 6 and 10 times more tokens per unit of power than company's newest AI chips called TPUs. Holy moly, this is better than TPUs. Alphabet shares climbed 3% on Monday after the information reported the company is developing a new server chip, internally dubbed Frozen V2, designed to run Gemini models more efficiently. Chip would permanently embed parts of Gemini architecture directly into the silicon, reducing the number of calculations and the amount of data movement required to answer queries, according to the news outlet. Alphabet told CNBC in a statement that its teams are constantly researching and experimenting with new innovations to deliver maximum performance and efficiency for our users and customers. And that while not every project moves into production, this rigorous exploration is central to our full stack approach. So again, they're trying to kind of dampen the hype a little bit, and this part right here is very, very important. While not every project moves into production, the rigorous exploration is central to our full stack approach. By co-designing our hardware and software from the ground up, we ensured that our systems are integrated and highly optimized for real-world workloads. Google engineers project it could serve between 6 and 10 times more tokens per unit of power than the company's newest AI chips called TPUs, or tensor processing units. And we went over TPUs a couple videos ago where we were trying to see the difference between TPUs and GPUs and what the hell is going on there. Frozen would become a more specialized branch of Google's custom chip portfolio rather than replace its general purpose TPUs. According to the report, the company is targeting 2028 for deployment. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a little while. So this is not going to be like next year or anything. The project is aimed at easing a major internal compute shortage that has fueled tensions and reportedly forced Google Cloud to turn away outside business. Just last month, Google agreed to pay SpaceX nearly $1 billion a month to help bridge the gap and meet its enterprise compute commitments. And we talked about that. And we actually traced not only Google spending, but Anthropic spending with SpaceX. And how interesting was that relationship right before SpaceX went public? The trade-off is flexibility. The chip would work with future Gemini models only if Google sticks with the same underlying architecture, according to the information. Google reportedly currently views Frozen V2 partly as a trial run and does not plan to produce it at the same scale as its TPUs. Google's AI efforts face a more immediate challenge. The next Gemini Pro release is delayed, and Google has lost several senior researchers to rivals as Chinese models gain ground with American businesses, things that we've been talking about over the past few videos. Those models now account for 45% of U.S. company token use. Competitive pressure is only building with recent new releases from Moonshot AI and Alibaba this weekend, narrowing the capability gap. Google DeepMind chief Demis Hassabis is on Capitol Hill this week to pitch lawmakers on a FINRA-style watchdog for AI that will be federally overseen, largely industry-funded, and built to test most advanced models for national security risks before release. Very, 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 very interesting. And this is what's been going on as of today, I believe. They jumped a little bit, but now they're hovering at 352. This is over the last month. I think this was a dip from last week. What was this? This is from June. They hit 370 a couple days before they dropped. And this is in May when they had the crazy showcase. 402. Jesus Christ. Some bad news for Google, some good news for Google. We'll see what happens. We love Anthropic here. We love OpenAI here. And I'm talking about the models and the technology, not the actual people. Google has always been the most interesting company to me because it's the dark horse. It's the unlikely candidate that could come in and win it all. And I think they're still not, they can't fully take advantage of the one thing that they have, which is the user base, the embedded user base, which is global with Google and YouTube by themselves, plus Gmail, plus Google Docs, plus Google Drive, plus every other thing, plus Google Ads. It's safe to say 70% of the internet uses Google products daily. It's safe to say a lot of people use some Google products on a day-to-day basis. If Google is able to tap into that embedded user base and slowly inject Gemini into everything that they do, and Gemini is hopefully gets smart enough that it'll remember you with your account throughout the whole throughout moving back and forth with different tools, and it knows exactly what you would want, that will be a game changer for them. A big game changer for them. But however, they also need to be focused on making the coding aspect of their models right, and serve the customers that are there and need those demands met. As much as I would want them to just serve regular people and try to make AI as easy to use as possible, right now the battleground is coding, and all these different companies are competing with coding models. So we'll see how the battlefield is looking like in a month or two. Hopefully when Gemini 3.5 Pro finally releases. And you know what? If I was Google, at this point, any update to Pro that you have, just name it 4. Gemini 4 Pro. That'll create enough hype to carry you over till the next Gemini update. But let me know what you guys think of all this. Certainly a lot of interesting stuff from Google. Hopefully they can pull it together and not be in a dire situation as they are right now. Do you guys use Gemini? Do you guys use OpenAI? Do you guys use Anthropic? Do you guys use Grok? Let me know. Do you guys use Muse Spark 1.1? Meta Muse Spark 1.1? Please let me know. I'm definitely interested to hear what the hell is going on with that. Leave a like. Please subscribe for more AI news, futurism news, data center news, and anything related to technology that we want to cover right here on this channel at Radio Live Live. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll catch you guys next Radio